Hello Orchid friends, welcome back to my channel. Wherever you are, I hope you're having a great day, staying healthy and staying safe. Today we're looking at a miniature Phalaenopsis orchid. This is a grocery store Phalaenopsis. I think I only pay maybe $6 or $7 for it. The reason I got this one was simply because number one, the leaves has a little bit of recessive mottling, and number two, this orchid is fragrant. The smell is very citrusy. It's almost like lemony plus a little bit of sourness to it. It's a very pleasant smell, and I would even say that the fragrance is medium strong to strong, because I have a total of 3 orchids. For this particular type, I have 3 in my collection. I got this one first, and then for another occasion, I bought a few more, and I eventually kept 2, so for a total of 3. I bought a couple additional ones and gave them to my friends, because I know, these kinds of orchids are rare, hard to come by. Yes, grocery store Phalaenopsis can be fragrant, but it's not that common. I have only another type of orchid that I got from a different grocery store chain, 4 of them, but ever since that particular instance, I haven't seen the same orchid being sold at that grocery store ever again. So when I came across these rare finds, I typically buy multiple. Sometimes multiple for just myself. Sometimes I would get additional ones for my my friends who also appreciate orchids. Anyway, so this orchid is the largest one, or the oldest / the largest one of the 3. And I think next week I'm going to do a video on the other 2. And that one I will also talk about repotting the other 2. This one had been repotted already. When they first came to the house, they were in almost like a 2-inch, very small, actually 1.5-inch like plastic cup, and the medium was just sphagnum moss. And then typically what I like to do is when orchids first come to my house, I obviously quarantine them, and then I would continue to grow the orchid until the following spring, after the spring blooms are done, and then I would repot. So that's exactly what I did with this orchid. After its previous bloom were done, it was springtime or maybe late spring, and then I repotted it. And later in the video you'll see I actually chose the inorganic media for this orchid. It's a mixture of manto clay and hydrocorn, which is the preferred mixture I use for a lot of my orchids. Inorganic media, you don't have to worry about the media breaking down over time. So unless this orchid really outgrows this container, which you'll later see as well, or if there is any root issue, pest issue, otherwise I don't really have to worry about having to repot this orchid in the next year or 2. Maybe I can even go 3-4 years without having to repot it. But I do have to say, this orchid has a tendency to grow a lot of roots, and it already, since the repot, has grown quite a bit of aerial roots already. So that's another consideration. I'll have to decide if I want this orchid to have that crazy aerial roots, and then the other 2, because I repotted them, they should stay nice and neat for a while. Okay, so this orchid's flowers are really pleasant. It also has that glittering, shimmering effect when strong lights shine on the flowers directly. Typically, I only give this orchid 1/4 cup of water, and in summertime, 1 week wet dry cycle for 1/4 cup, easy. In wintertime, usually it takes about 10 days, so this orchid actually only receives water, 1/4 cup of water, with or without fertilizer, every other week. So essentially 2 weeks, 14 days. The cup I used was borrowed from another orchid that I purchased from a grocery store, and I really like the inner cup. It's very small. It's probably maybe 8 ounce, but I love how it has small ventilation holes all around, and with the pebble mixture, I think this orchid really likes it because number one, I don't have to worry about overwatering because I use a set amount, but then it also has a lot of ventilation. So this orchid just really loves it, and this time around it gave me more bloom than I when I have purchased this orchid. Judging by the characteristics of the flower, and if you see the pink in the center, and then also the modeling, a lot of my friends and I are guessing that this orchid has Schilleriana in its parentage, but we don't really know. There's no way for us to tell where the yellow and the characteristics of the lip may come from. That's the downside of buying a grocery store Phalaenopsis orchid that doesn't come with a name tag. So it's really hard to ID them. And to be honest with you, they may actually don't have a name ever, because they may simply be like one of those test files from breeders, and then eventually they were created and then they were wholesaled, so they just never really gave them a proper name. Maybe that's why I found them at a grocery store. Who knows? All in all though, I still very enjoy growing this orchid. It's a very robust, vigorous orchid. Since the repot, you can see here that it has grown even more roots. And really no special care required for this orchid, and it reblooms and the leaves are growing larger and larger, so it tells me it's still trying to get to that really mature stage. But I have high hope for this orchid, honestly. I think with even more fertilizer and it just, maybe give it a little extra light, I think this orchid would do even better next year. Probably a longer flower spike with more blooms, because if it did, I don't know, have Schilleriana in its parentage, it could potentially give way more bloom than this. So we'll see. Please stay tuned, and if I do any repot or any kind of updates, I would definitely share with you about that in another video. This is all I have for you today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you would like to get more orchid related videos from my channel, please subscribe and turn on the notification. I want to wish you happy growing, and I will talk to you in my next video. Ciao!